Yeah?
Sorry, oops. Well,
You're gone. You're very loud and clear, Ed.
Yeah.
Yes. Super. We wait for your questions. We'll start in a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We still wait some. Voila. Hello, Benjamin. Stay close with us. We need you close. That's a perfect location. We need you. I'll come back. Perhaps we can start the opening slide already. There's some technical news on the opening slide. So, quick question. We are all here in the workshop. Yes, this is the. I hope you're in the right place, right? This is about the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, which is part of the big venture Horizon Europe. Good to have you. Voilà. Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello, Lavarella.
well, you can sit there. Here.
You may sit.
Yes. Yes.
You're very good. Yes. And we may also. No, not yet. You will close at the end. You're not alone here. You're surrounded by friends. Surrounded. We will give you energy.
Give me some energy.
Surrounded by maritime friends. Si vous voulez aussi peut-être rejoindre aussi déjà ici. On attend donc Elisabeth. So welcome to the workshop. I think perhaps we can already show the technical slide, which is next, right? Before we start cracking on. There is some information on translation, interpretation, in the next slide. Very good. There is good news, a lot of good news today. The one is we speak several languages, and we can use indeed channel 1 for French and canal 2 for English. And also for the online participants, very good, warm welcome to you. A little warm, right? Because it's over 30 degrees here in Marseille.
It is. But, well, we have followers from several places in Europe and from the Mediterranean, so
Fantastic.
plenty of climate, temperature for sure at this time.
It's probably hotter even in some other parts of the Mediterranean. So warm welcome is really very literal, yes. And if you connect on Zoom, you can also have the facility with translation or interpretation. So indeed, you can click on the interpretation button located in the toolbar and very quickly select the language. So either English or French. Donc cliquez sur le bouton, voilà, and that is indeed very good. And perhaps also already the next, and then the final practical one before we start going. You can post questions on Slido by indeed looking at this wonderful QR code. And we will do our very best to actually listen and to look at your questions. Now, if you're in the room, it's so much nicer to actually raise your hand. And also, when in the room, you don't need to unmute, which is a great advantage also. Very good. I think
we're ready to go.
Ready?
We're ready to go. So we are always ready. That's true. So welcome to this to this workshop on sustainable economy partnership. It's quite important this workshop so that we back to back with the mission Oceans and Sea restoration that we had in the morning, the previous session, that back to back we can also inform and have your views on the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. So welcome to Marseille, welcome to this wonderful city, and we have we will start by, well, I'll start by presenting myself and my colleague. I'm Eduardo Carcajeiro. I'm all from the DG Research and Innovation LC Oceans and Sea Unit. And my colleague is?
Hello, my name is Jan Maarten de Wet from Ecaris, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
Okay, let's get started. We have our opening panel setting the scene. We will start by Maurice Herral from the French National Research Agency from France. On behalf of the French presidency, we welcome you. Then we will have Elisabetta Baldi from DG Research and Innovation Unit, head of unit, also from DG Research and Unit, Health and Ocean Unit from European Commission, and then Raffaele Liberale from the Minister of Italy to close this opening session. Then we will go through the second part of the opening part. So Maurice, the floor is yours. You can move here if you want, or you can speak there. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. Okay, you have heard this morning from the Ambassador Olivier Poivre d'Arvor that we, during the French presidency, the One Ocean Summit have been organized during 1 week in Brest. And there were more than 100 countries, and the objective was to achieve to have a network of countries where the objective is to have 30% of marine protected areas, the end also of illegal fisheries, and stop the plastic pollutions as we described this morning. And as you have been announced, that it's we will have a follow-up in Lisbon in 2 weeks, and where President Macron will try to submit a proposal to organize in France under UN the Ocean 2025 Summit. Okay, and now we are there after a mission workshop, and to plan the scene and try to understand who is doing what. And second objective of this workshop is to present you the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership and what we plan to do. And the third objective of this workshop could be how to prepare the inside the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, the new strategic research innovation agenda, because we have planned to do some call each year, research and innovations, and they will be implemented inside the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, but following this strategic scheme. And of course, it will be important to have a contribution of different regions, not national regions, but EU regions like Black Sea, like Med, or like the Baltic Seas. Who is doing what? It's a bit complicated. But here you see that you have, even if I have my glasses, but you see that first we have the GPI Ocean. The GPI Ocean, it's associations of Ministry of Research representatives, and with trying to align national research and also publish some call or doing some activities like sharing infrastructures, like producing knowledge hub, and in all the domains which are covering ocean, earth in one piece, but also sustainable productivity of the ocean, and which is dealing with fisheries, aquaculture, but also and all the problems of ocean stewardship. And you see that Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, which is in green, is a circle in green, will be mainly focused on ocean sustainable productivity, including food and nutrition security, and including also marine strategic planning, including the main objective, it's carbon neutrality of the economy. See? And it will include also what is blue inside, it's infrastructures. Is not in that idea is not research infrastructures. It could be in the future, but up to now it will be offshore infrastructures like wind farms, like oil or petroleum gas infrastructures, you see, and all their impact and how they can have multi-users. You see that on the opposite, the ocean earth, and in the little, it's all the actions which have been soon developed by different terranets with research goal or by the GPI, like aquatic pollutant, for example, it's a research goal with GPI water and GP, because it's coming from fresh water, and also GPI antimicrobiotic resistance as it's dealing with contaminants and impact on human health. And but some cores have been produced by only GPI Oceans alone, but with its members, like microplastics, like underwater noise now. And you see that these actions will be mainly maintained by the GPI Ocean. And this morning we saw the mission. It's the white circle here. I tried to focus it because it's mainly on ocean health, but not on research activities, and in innovation, but impact of research, and also how they can involve citizens and the different actors of the society, including the industry. Thank you. Next slide, it's me. Okay, it means that it's a more simple way. It's that, but the same idea, you see, it's a sustainable blue economy partnership. And how we are building the partnership, we did a common SREA in the summer 2021, 1 year ago, and it was built by a drafting group represented from member states and GPI Oceans, and also associated countries, and also with the GGRTD, with a strong focus that it was high-level SREA. And what we did, in fact, we analyzed the different regional SREA, which are circled in orange. You have BlueMed, Atlantic Alliance, with Galway and Belém. Say it's a convention, or I don't know. It's agreement between North and South Atlantic and EU Atlantic side. BANOS, which is Baltic and North Sea, and Black Sea. And we try to identify not some particularities, but some common approach between these different SREA, and try to retain that at the partnership level, at the EU level. And we did that and submitted to the member state representatives, of course with DG Research, and we had also a public consultation. And the public consultation was emphasis that there were not enough connection with the private industry. It means that we change a little bit the Serie A and we try to emphasize to increase the impacts and connection with industry. What is planned, it's the reason why it's important to have some regional meetings, because we will have this meeting, a meeting like this one in all the other regions. We plan to revise the Sustainable Blue Economy SREA for next call in 2023, because SREA, up to now, we don't know exactly, but up to now, it will have a durations of minimum of 7 years, but perhaps the project 10 years. And we will have 3 grant agreements with the Commission to make it feasible. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Maurice Herral, from the French National Research Agency, setting the scene. Well, you did highlighted what he's doing, what the involvement of society, the impact of research, how the partnership is being built and the common approaches, and the public consultation that was behind everything. So let's give the floor now to Elisabetta Balzi, Healthy Ocean and Sea Unit, DG Research and Innovation from the European Commission. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here with you today, and also good afternoon to those of you who are on the screen. Today it's very important for us, and I think symbolic, that we are here today together with you to discuss about a partnership, a candidate partnership, still a candidate because it's still under evaluation, a final proposal, but it's a very strategic instrument for us, which is a partnership on sustainable blue economy. At the moment where we launched, let's say, the first publicly, the first lighthouse for our mission with a regional focus on the Mediterranean, and also we are dedicating this workshop also for this macro region. So it's very important and symbolic because it shows how close those two, both very strategic initiatives for us are, and how much we expect that there are close links, synergies, and working together between the mission and the partnership. So I think this is the main message from our side, so very important, very clear that this partnership will have a key role for contributing also to the mission, and vice versa. Also, the mission is very relevant to this partnership. So what I can say today is just a very, very brief introduction. As I said, this partnership is still under evaluation, so we cannot disclose too much information, but there has been a process to prepare it, a formal process. There was a pre-proposal submitted, which basis we can discuss. In the next slide, we see also that there has been a recent publication, or maybe I should do it myself. No, sorry. Recent publication of important document, a report on the performance of European partnership for the first 2 years. For us, first of all, the partnership, what are they? They are a very strategic instrument aimed at joining efforts between the European Commission Research and Innovation Programme and public and private partners. If we speak about partnership as a whole, there are different types. Some of them are with the public sector, some of them are with the private sector. Both strategically very important to join efforts in order to address the most pressing challenges of our days and to address them with research and innovation joint efforts. So this partnership belongs, of course, to the public-public partnership of a type of co-funded partnership. So very, very important. We are joining efforts between national programs and the European Union Research and Innovation Programme Horizon Europe, and with an investment from both sides. And actually the national programs have a major role and weight in the partnership because they are investing in 70% of the funds, while the European Commission is topping up with 30%. So you are the major players of this partnership. And co-programming is key because we are topping up these calls, but there is this joint efforts of preparing together a strategic research innovation agenda and then running joint calls. So this is particularly important. What is also very important that with respect to the previous program, Horizon 2020, we already had partnerships. Now we have a more impact-focused approach. We have less partnerships, we see on the next slide, we still have many of them only in the first strategic programming cycle for the years 2021 to 2024. We have no less than 49 partnerships in Horizon Europe, different types, you see in different colors, with a remarkable investment also, because we speak about 55 billion euros. We'll see it in the next slide. You don't need to read there, but I'm just, we'll see it more in detail afterwards. You are one of those partnerships, but there is close connections among different partnerships. You will see that how we also expect and hope that there will be very close connections, because clearly many of them are related to the very important topics that you are addressing. Now, in terms of, as I was saying, in terms of investments, 49 partnerships for a total of 55 billion euros, where you see that actually the member states are bringing no less than 31 billion euros, and the estimated contribution by Horizon Europe is for the moment 23 billion euros. Now, these are figures coming for this first analysis. And in those partnerships, there are different waves. So some of them were already approved and already started. You are in the, say, second wave, which is being evaluated. We start, there will be some which will come afterwards. So, but those are figures just to give you a flavor on, based on what has been what is already been up and running. So it's a very, very important investment. And and it's not only a matter of funds and figures, it's a matter of also strategic importance of this partnership. The main concepts which are driving this partnership, first of all, they are contributing, the policy drive, they are contributing mainly to the twin digital and green transition. So we have a Green Deal, the Digital Europe, very important policy drive for us, and also to Europe's resilience. You will see in this report, for example, that the partnerships which are up and running, 67% already contribute to the twin transition, 36% to the green transition, and so 67 to the digital, 36 to the green, and 35% to Europe's resilience. So already the analysis, even if it's a small sample we started, you see that there is already a very important impact-driven approach. They contribute to a series of UN Sustainable Development Goals, of course. They are drivers of what we call the European Research Area, so they are driving this alignment in a positive sense of programs and of research efforts in order to have a much stronger effect by working together and more impact. And they are also network builders, so this networking and structuring effect of a partnership, it's also very important. So in fact, the added value of a partnership is not only to run transnational programs, but they are really driving also structuring. They have a structuring effect. Often it was observed that also at national level, they improve the structuring of a governance. So they have a series of very strategic effects. Now, another important characteristic is openness and inclusiveness. So the European Partnership already demonstrated that there is a strong awareness for openness. They have often setting up dedicated measures for newcomers and also to integrate the widening countries in Europe, so to be really inclusive. And the second important concept is that partnerships are open for collaboration beyond the European Union. So there is this openness, and of course respecting the principle that in the partnership, this type of partnership that we are dealing with today, there is a 70% investment by the countries and 30% investment by the European Commission. So this is also a condition, let's say, of participating is also to invest national funds. A couple of words on this specific Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. The policy drive clearly is the Green Deal, the European Green Deal for us, the Digital Europe, and also a European Climate Pact with different headings. And in particular, we have the principle of putting the blue into the green. So we cannot have a Green Deal without a Blue Deal. It was mentioned also in these days. And this is also the principle, for example, of Sustainable Blue Economy communication that the Commission adopted last year. So this is, let's say, the policy drive, main policy drive. Then, referring to the draft that was submitted in 2020, we have clearly this specific partnership is aiming at enabling a just and inclusive transition to a climate-neutral, sustainable and productive blue economy. It very much contributes, as I said, to the Green Deal and Digital Europe. It builds on existing EU, regional and national research priorities and activities, and it helps to align priorities and investments for ocean research across Europe and beyond Europe, I would say. It builds also on the regional, we recognize the very strong importance of all the regional strategies and also for the ocean. And at the same time, it has a very strong integrating effect because we are working all together across all sea basins and the ocean. And it's implemented through a joint program of activities ranging from research and innovation, also coordination and networking activities. This networking element you will find important in the partnership. Specifically in your proposal, initial proposal, we have a total estimated investment of 490 million of euros with EU commitments of 150 and partners commitments of 340. I repeat, these are the figures which were in the initial proposal. Now the final proposal which will come out of the evaluation will have some different probably some different figures. But this is to give a flavor to those of you who are new to this strategic instrument. I just wanted to, well, Maurice already mentioned the partnership presented initially a strategic research agenda. You don't need to read all this, but the important is that there are four main pillars: a blue economy in harmony with nature, blue economy solutions towards climate neutrality, a thriving blue economy for the people, and integrated and responsible ocean governance. So these were the four pillars which were proposed, and then of course under each of them there are a series of impacts. As I said, I wanted to point out that integration is a particularly important aspect of a partnership, and of this partnership, particularly its integration across the different sea basins and oceans, even though we recognize, of course, that each sea basin has their own strategies, which are very important, and this effect of integration, it's a particularly distinguishing feature of this partnership. Synergies are also very important. The partnership, of course, builds also on previous similar initiatives, including, for example, the GPI Oceans, and there is a strong also effect of networking that you see there in one of the figures. I will finish by I wanted to mention that, of course, this partnership will closely interact with several other ones. Here you see some of them are mentioned, and they are under different parts of Horizon Europe. There are different types of partnerships that, for example, water for all, biodiversity. There are clear other partnerships who are very closely related to yours, so interactions will be very important. And to finish, last but certainly not least, because this is the driver of today's meeting, also happening today in Marseille, is that the synergies between the mission and the partnership is very important. You know that the mission has three main objectives: restoring the ocean and waters, biodiversities and ecosystems, then reducing pollution, and the circular and carbon neutral economy. And your partnership has four pillars which are also closely related. So it's clear that the two strategic initiatives, which are distinct, they have very different characteristics, they are both equally strategic, but they have to work together. So we are looking forward to that. And I'll finish here my presentation. Thank you very much. Last information that I wanted to, it's the last one, but I wanted to say that the process, now we are, as I said, in the process finishing the evaluation of the proposal. So the partnership is expected to start with first grants in 2023, and then we will have normally 3 grants following in the next years. But there has been an whole process, including public consultations, and the first proposal, the strategic research innovation agenda, all this is public. And it was an important preparation, of course, because it's a very strategic element. So during the past couple of years, there has been intensive preparation, and very grateful to all of those of you who participated, and also to my colleagues who have been helping the process. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Elisabetta, for your enlightenment and information, detailed information, very important to all of us. Well, you did highlight, it's never too much to highlight the launching of the first lighthouse, the role of the partnership related with the mission, the strategic instruments, and the public-private partnership joint efforts, the co-program and the co-funded, and the close connection with the other co-funded partnerships. You also highlighted the importance of the strategic investment related to the partnership, the contribution to the twin digital green transition and Europe's resilience, which is quite important, this contribution, the deepening of the European research area, the network builders, which is really important in the partnership, the openness and inclusiveness of the partnership itself, the policy drive behind the partnership, the mission, the vision, and especially the integration, the need for integration, and then the four main pillars of the pillars of the partnership that really makes that integration. Integration with the other sea basins, the synergy with the mission, and all of the process. So thank you very much, Elisabetta. I will give now the floor to our last speaker in setting the scene. You have a question? Can you make it in the end of the opening? Okay, so that we... Okay, please. If it's important. Yeah.
Take note.
I will give the floor now to Raffaele Liberali from the Minister for Universities and Research in Italy. Please, Raffaele.
Thank you very much. So I'm Raffaele Liberali. I am the Counselor of Minister Mesa. I don't know, you saw this morning Minister Mesa, that is the Minister of Research and University, and I'm dealing with European affairs. And with this hat, I am now here, and Italy, as you know, is the coordinator with Norway of this proposal. Of course, a lot has been said, so it's quite difficult to add in general terms. So I would prefer to make some commentaries, some not right presentation, but some punctual commentaries. And I try to say what I can say, just because, as Elisabetta said, the proposal is still under evaluation. So I think that for confidentiality process during an evaluation, you cannot disclose exactly the content of the proposal. Also because, as Elisabetta said, we will have a negotiation after that. We will see which will be first. We will see if our proposal will be retained. It can happen that they say, no thanks, you don't pass the threshold, so we start again. Second, which will be the commentaries of the expert. And we have to take in account the commentaries of the expert during the negotiation and before signing the contract. So I will give just a global picture of what's going on. And I will start saying that in a way, the main goal, as has been said, is the title, Sustainable Blue Economy. It's a partnership for the sustainable blue economy. What does it mean, sustainable blue economy? Has been said. I would just point 2 or 3 points. For me, and I have to say, yesterday morning, I was in Frankfurt to the Research G7 meeting. And there was, and if you look at the conclusion of the G7, there is one of the three main elements of the conclusion are on ocean and are on ocean, on preservation of ocean, on the importance of ocean, and so on and so forth. And it was really an interesting discussion, an interesting contribution from the initial speaker and from all the ministers around the table that underline how important and which is their point of view. And I would say that fundamentally I would resume after that the sustainable blue economy in 2 or 3 points. First point is making the ocean, the blue economy, sustainable through a sustainable exploitation of resources and regeneration of seas. That is the first point that has been underlined by everybody. Oceans are our future. And we will overcome a lot of problems thanks to oceans. And if we don't pay attention to that, the situation will be worse and worse. That, I think, is quite clear and is a must. Yesterday was so clear for everybody. I mean, from Germany to Japan to from US, Italy, Canada, everybody was on this line. Second point to do that is the governance of our oceans and seas. That is a second fundamental pillar there to overcome the problems. And to achieve this point, it's crucial that we use new technologies or we improve the existing technologies. It thanks also, because the point is not to go back to what we had 50 years ago. We know it's impossible. But we have to find new ways to do that. And that is through common works and so on and so forth, but also through improving technologies and new technologies. I mean, we have discussed this morning about digital twin of oceans, are fundamental instruments that will give us the information. And there, yesterday, I learned one thing that I didn't know before, that there is a big difference between the digital ocean and the digital twin of oceans. Are two different things. We have the digital ocean today. We have to go to the digital twin of oceans. And that is a work we have to do together. At European level and worldwide. Everybody is moving there because the information arises from there. So that is the reference for us. And there where we worked, we have listened. ZRIA was elaborated by the member state with the help of the GPI Ocean. Not by the GPI Ocean. If I say it has been elaborated by GPI Ocean, somebody will kill me. So I don't want to be killed. It's been elaborated by the member state with the help of GPI Ocean. They had there are 4 pillars. There are 39 priorities and that is based, as Maurice said, taking account and working on the regional ZRIAs. Because for us, the link between the partnership and the regional ZRIAs, the regional sea basin, is crucial. We must be an added value. We must be not just the coordinator. We cannot just take and add everything. It's not that. But have the common factor between that. Having and seeing how we can impact on regional basins and how regional basins can impact on our vision at European level. That is the relation we must have in our work. And that is also the sense of this today workshop that we will have in the future. is not just one workshop, it's the first workshop. Because the dialogue, and I will tell also you how we think in our proposal to ensure that. Starting, we had the call, and we started in working. In the proposal, we have 25 members of state. I mean, everybody. If you think just one country, there is just one country that is on the sea and did not participate in the first grant agreement, and that is Croatia. But of course, they already said we are ready for the following one, we are not ready for this one. So we arrived to 26. What is missing? I think Austria. Sorry? Hungary and Czechoslovakia, yeah, probably. There are 2 or 3, but in a way we can understand and we will work with them. So that is what's going on. Starting from the call, starting from the SRIA, we have discussed both at national level, and we are asked to all the representatives of member states in the partnership, in the proposal, to have a strong consultation. I have just 1 minute, so I accelerate. To have a strong collaboration and consultation at national level, to bring all the priorities. And we have selected from the 4 pillars and the 39 priorities, we have selected for the first proposal, as Elisabetta said, we will have 3. For the first, 5 intervention areas and 24 priorities. I don't go in detail because I think Catherine will present that after, but that will be more or less the idea. And that is our proposal, with a strong governance. That is an inclusive governance. As in all the partnership, we will have the partnership with its own articulation and management, assembly, a management and executive committee, and 8 work packages. 5, I would say, are the traditional one. It's coordination, SRIA, work program and management of call, follow-up of call, communication. That is just the norm. And there are 3 that probably are a little bit different. And the 3 first is a cellule. We have decided, because as Elisabetta said, our coordination with the mission, with the missions, with the other partnerships, with the GPI, with the international bodies and international activities is crucial. If we want to succeed, we have to coordinate. That is one side. And the other side, a permanent dialogue with the sea basins. An open and permanent dialogue with the sea basins. And to do that, we have decided to have a strong cellule in Brussels, whose is a work package. It's something really significant to ensure that. And the 2 others are, if you want, something that is between traditional and not. One is in terms of impact. What is crucial is the impact we will have. And that we have to work on that. But also the part linked to innovation process, to the take-up from the market of what we will develop in the partnership. And so in this work package, we have both sides, the traditional let's say, part, impact assessment, impact factor, and the innovation, and the future sustainability. And the last one, of course, as in any partnership, what is crucial are the in-kind contribution. The difference between a partnership and a normal call and a normal activities is that a partnership, and that's what I believe strongly in the partnership, is that a partnership is not just a matter of funding some research project. Is the construction of the European research area, is having the convergence and having the synergies between member states in terms of national activities towards common and bringing national activities, sometimes very similar between one member state and the other, at European level, in a way upgrade, giving these resources that can permit to bridge and to coordinate the national. And that is true in terms of financial activities, but is also true in terms of regulations, in terms of. And there we have dedicated a specific work package to do that, because it's really a priority. So you see, the governance is a traditional one with some differences to take in account of the situation. I have 3 minutes too much. My time is up. They tell me, so I stop here, saying that I thank you, and I think that the dialogue we will have today must be an open dialogue, must be a discussion between, let's say, friends, between people that are interested in achieving the same result, in an open way. At the end of the day, of course, as coordinator, I have to do some choice, and I cannot take everything on board. But we will motivate what we will do and how we will do. And we will try to have a really comprehensive way of working with the member state, with the regional basins, with the Commission, with the rest. That is the idea behind that. Let's see what the experts will say, and we will tell you next time. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Raphael, for your dedicated work and feelings towards the partnership. Very, very important. Well, from your presentation, I really highlighted, the confidentiality process ongoing. Well, the meaning of the sustainable blue economy concept, and then you worked through the discussion around G7, and you highlighted the link of the sustainable exploitation of resources. And as a key message, the ocean is our future. That's really important. And the second highlight from the G7 that you spoke, it's the governance as a fundamental pillar. And the third, the need for improving technology. And then you also spoke on the digital twin oceans and the need also to take on board to the partnership. Then you really highlighted the importance and the link with the regional sea basins and the mutual impact between the partnership and the sea basins and the three they've been doing. Well, and then you did highlight the close consultation with member states to build this partnership and the focus on a strong governance. That's really a must. And you also highlighted right in the end the need for innovation, convergence, the regulation also, but mainly the open dialogue. Thank you very much, Raphael. Well, our idea was to call for the next speaker, and then we'll have a dedicated question and answer. But there's a question already. 3 questions. Well, please.
Okay. Do I need a microphone for that?
Yes.
So
can you? We are a bit behind schedule.
Is it working? Yeah. So my name is Vytautas Danlevičius. I'm representing Ministry of Agriculture of Lithuania, and I have 2 questions for the Lithuania. Yes. So 2 questions. Very, very.
Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic.
we have a cold season and cold
It's quite
weather.
important to have on the med part.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
So, 2 questions for the Commission and 1 question for you. First question for the Commission, why the proportion is 30% of EU funding and 70% of Member State funding? Is it possible to change? During the, if not, then another question a bit more complicated. I know that Lithuania have a big problem of utilizing resources of Horizon in the previous period, so we are not successful on that. Does Commission made a research why countries like Lithuania are not successful in using the funds of Horizon? And the question for the colleague from Italy, could you elaborate what is a blue economy? What is it behind? Is it just fishing and agriculture, or is it something more? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think some of your questions will be detailed answers. We'll have a detailed answer on with the next speaker, but feel free to answer, please.
Yes, so in terms of funding and the proportion, so first of all, it cannot be changed, certainly not at my level, but so, and why is 30 and 70? Because clearly here there is a strategic importance of a recognition of the importance of a member states programs, which by the way have a much stronger weight on the European research area itself. And the Commission is topping up actually this. So it's also symbolic of the importance of the Member States' national programs. I'm not sure I understood the second question. So the participation of Lithuania you're mentioning is...
We pay more for Horizon than getting back.
Yes. But you're not the only one.
It's exactly the same situation. Don't be worried.
Yes, it's not a return.
I mean, there are a lot of countries in this situation, but that are the rules of the game.
Yes, exactly. I think the reply it's here, and participation is not a just return.
I can try to answer because I was working in the Commission before. The rules of the game are not the juste retour. It's not just I pay 100 and I get 100. It's a common budget where you pay, probably for Horizon Europe you get less, but probably in the regional funding you get more than the others. And at the end of the day you must balance everything, not just program by program. And Horizon, I mean work program, are based on competitive goals evaluated at the international level. So if you don't get enough, probably could be a stimulation for you to do better. Last but not least, inside the Horizon Europe, as in Horizon 2020, there are specific action in favor of new member states, including yours. So, but at the end of the day, the ball is in your field, not in ours.
Well, thank you very much for your answers. I think we got to the end of this panel, so I will kindly ask you to move to the audience. Thank you very much, and we will set the scene for the next.
From my chair.
That question on what is the blue economy, I posed myself that question 12 years ago when we started studying. There was not yet a blue economy. Nobody knew what it was. But when starting it, one thing that struck me, fragmentation. There was a complete fragmentation, so many activities, and also in the research landscape. It was very difficult at the time to know who is doing what. And look where we are now with the presentation of this partnership. What an extraordinary, let's say, coordination challenge has already been undertaken. So I think it's a great moment to ask Catherine, Angel Hansen, to actually start talking about, feel free to go to the lectern, Catherine, and to be accompanied by 3 other distinguished members of the partnership. So Benjamin Curtum, please feel free to join. Margareta Capletto also, and Abraham Trujillo, I know you don't want to, but we want you. So feel free to take a comfortable seat. And we are going to dive a little bit deeper. Yeah? So far we have scratched the surface, but we are going to dive a little bit to the bottom of the ocean. And I think, Catherine, you're better placed than anybody to actually open that black box of this partnership. So the floor is yours. What is in the black box? We are all waiting to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Good afternoon, everyone. If I could answer Lithuania before anything, Lithuania, unfortunately, is still not in the partnership, and no one is better placed to be in the partnership than Lithuania, because you were one of the very first countries of the European Union to develop a smart specialization strategy, which is on the Blue Valley, which you have. So I hope maybe in the next grant agreement we will see you, because as Rafael also was stating, the resilience packages also by Elisabetta is very important for us for the local impact of the partnership. So I only wanted to reach out and say that we would be very delighted to have you in the partnership. I am a Deputy Director General in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Fisheries in Norway. I need to say that I do not speak on behalf of the Ministry. I'm speaking on behalf of the partnership. As you know, coming from a ministry, the Ministry is the responsible for people like you and me. I thought I would go now very quickly through the process and timeline, the policy drivers of the partnership Syria, and how we moved from the SRIA, so the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, and into the implementation. And luckily both Raffaella and Elisabetta and Maurice have given quite some information, but just to give you a line of the content. As Elisabetta said, under Horizon Europe there are 3 different forms of partnerships, so it's a kind of a simplification. It's the institutionalized one, it's the co-program and the co-funded, and we are a co-funded partnership, as already you heard. The Commission puts a budget in and the Member States top up, and through this activity and agreed strategy you get a direction and a speed which you're not able to achieve if each country works by its own. This is why the partnerships of the European research area are extremely important. The vision, I will not go through again, it's the blue economy, as we said. It's to reach the EU objectives by the 2030 of sustainability and neutrality, and to the benefit of the people. I thought Elisabetta also showed the timeline, but I do think it is important to be aware that these partnerships do take time to put in place. We started already 2018, JPI Oceans, Torsten, you're there, and pulled up the vision. It was done together with the JPI at a time, and also the development of the early strategic research and innovation agenda building, as was said, on the sea basin strategies, but also in cooperation and dialogue with other ERA activities, because we're not alone in the landscape. So with the ZOOT, the Zero Emission Waterborne Transport, with the Bioeconomy Co-Fund, with the Matera, and so on, to try to find out what is the turf of the partnership for the blue economy. At some stage, someone has to take the responsibility of partnership, and it is normally a member state, and together with Italy, or Norway together with Italy, or Italy with Norway, we decided to co-lead the process to follow from the strategy to decide how do we take it forward in a proposal. And based on the call, of course, and we undertook on that basis of the call considerable mapping of the member states. We asked them, out of the 39 objectives, what are the key important ones to you? What sort of tools do you need to undertake to go further? And on that basis, we elaborated how we were going to implement the partnership. And that phase was an important one. It was developed together with an executive committee, where Italy in particularly spent a substantial amount of time in ensuring that in the executive committee we had all sea basins participating. So 2 countries as a minimum from each sea basin and all Atlantic. And these were countries who also then volunteered in doing the analysis of the SRI to try to define where should we move as a partnership in implementing activities from words to activity. So the partnership, as I say, and as you heard, is big. We lack still Croatia and Lithuania. So it would be really nice also with a commissioner from Lithuania to have definitely also Lithuania on board. It is an ambition to have all sea bordering countries of the Union involved and also neighboring countries. I think there is scope also to bring inland countries on board, particularly in relation to the mission, but take Austria, the University of Vienna is very strong on technologies, observations and the like. So I think we need to think pan-European and not just think sea-bordering nations. The time frame and the budget, as you see, 450, time frame up to 10 years. So way beyond when Horizon Europe is lasting, for the simple reason that we're looking for impact. Impact, impact. And as all of you know, impact from a research project you start today is not going to take place in a few years. So the time frame needs to span further on. It's a blue economy partnership on sustainability, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that it encompasses the three dimensions of economy, ecology, and environment, and society, sorry. Elisabetta showed the policy drivers. You see the palette of it here. It is important to us because we have to respond to political ambitions. We're driven by the European Union policies. It's the common denominators between the member states and global obligations to the Union. So you see on the left side the UN, the SDGs, the Ocean Decade, but also the regional sea conventions like Barcelona, etc., HELCOM. And in addition, you have the directives and the policies of the Union. Mainly, we respond to the Green Deal, the digital, and as I already mentioned, the recovery package of the Union is an important policy to drive ZEP, the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, further. If you look at the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, it's very difficult to put such a strategy together. We call it pillars. We don't like pillars. And to use the terminology, there's many ways to skin a cat. Actually, everything is connected with everything in the oceans, but you need to do something about it. So we have the four pillars here of the blue economy in harmony with nature, the blue economy, which is climate neutral, then the thriving blue economy for the people, and the need for integrated ocean governance. As importantly, we also have a number of key enablers. You have the digital, you have infrastructures, you have data, you have capacity, etc., which enable the development. And when the member states were asked to provide commitments, they were asked not only what money you can put on the table, but what capacities, ship time, data, models, etc., are you able to bring to the table, and what will it require for this specific area to succeed? Maybe not only fresh money. In some cases, they even say it's too early. On some of the new pollutants, we first need to identify how, which models do we use to go about it before we actually launch a call. So altogether, we have 4 pillars, 13 clusters and 39 objectives and 7 cross-cutting enablers. And as I said, the member states were asked to provide input on 3 elements. What is to you most urgent? What's the most important element in relation to the 39 objectives? Which tools to be used? You can see them there. And what is the regional added value? And out of this consultation, 24 out of the 39 objectives identified in this area were considered by member states and associate countries to be the most important. And I need to specifically highlight underneath, they are to be implemented and monitored on environment, science, economy, technology, and social outcomes and impacts. So Elisabeth showed you the monitoring report biannual already, which we've then given early indicators as baselines on these parameters. I need also to underline that when we wrote the SRIA, this was prior to COVID. We had a COVID, and as you saw, the European Commission had to update its industry strategy, which was only 1 year old, and you got words like building back better, transformation, the digital transitions, the autonomy of the union, and these flavored also the sustainable blue economy communication, requiring us to move more towards solution orientation than the SRIA. And it was emphasized in the call text. And this caused us a slight problem, because how do you monitor a thriving economy for the people? How do you monitor, how do you measure the impact? How can I ask you, are you more happy today than yesterday about the blue economy? It's very difficult. So we had a group, a big group with all sea basins represented, in looking through the SRIAs and see if we could build a logic around some of the objectives there. And you can see we have the digital twin, we have the offshore platform, we have governance, we have the health risks for people, and also the economy for developing the blue bioeconomy more sustainably. And now this looks like it's silo, but it's not the case. If you look at the multi-use offshore platform, you can see that a number of the other objectives fits into this very targeted, impact-driven ambition. You can see, have you successfully made this platform? What can we use it for? And this is another way to tweak it around. So it's about fostering circular jobs, it's about new techs, it's about techs which are less impacting negatively on the environment. So this was the way we went about it in these 5 new intervention areas. And the panel will be able to answer a few questions on that. So if I was going to sum up, you can see, if you can see, that we had this SRIA. Out of that, we developed 5 intervention areas, which will then end up in projects, and we will have impact networks to support it. We will do this in a co-creation process. This is very important. We will build the community and also enhance capacities. What do I mean with building the community? And then we need to look at implementation and modality. In each of the intervention areas, we need to agree based on the quintuple helix, so civil society, environment, academia, industry, and governance. Who is going to use this knowledge? Who is going to produce them? They need to be put together. You don't only disseminate a result afterwards from a scientist. We really need them there to make sure that what we are producing is relevant to those who are going to use it. Secondly, we need to have a fit-to-purpose tool. In order to impact, what sort of tools, what barriers do you have in order to reach the objectives? Do you have the infrastructures? Do you need to do monitoring? Do you have the observation skills? Do you have the digital knowledge to reduce risk, etc.? Those are criteria which will be asked to the project proposers. Who's going to use this? Engage them. So we're not going to send out a questionnaire afterwards and ask the projects, did you speak to industry? No, they need to bring it to the table. So, and just last slide to explain that we have these implementation modalities. We're not alone in the landscape. We are likely not to undertake calls with other ERA activities, but we will have the opportunity to bring activities together when calls have been launched and submitted, and we have a pool of projects. We can bring them together and connect also with the mission Starfish. We have one innovation, as Raffaele was saying, because we are thinking Europe, but the impact needs to be local. And for that reason, we have these sea basin contact nodes, which is being one of the activities of the Brussels cellule, which Raffaele mentioned. And we have representatives for the All-Atlantic through Portugal, the Azores and Ireland. In the Mediterranean, it's Greece together with Malta. In the Black Sea, it is Bulgaria together with Turkey. And for the North Sea, it is the Netherlands with Belgium. And for the Black Sea, we have Poland together with Estonia. Baltic Sea, sorry. It's Poland with Estonia. And this is a way of ensuring that we can have a connectivity at every time together with these nodes to capture new needs so that we're not sort of very rigid in this landscape, and also to ensure that we can exchange practices across the sea basins. Mm-hmm. And we're seeking synergies, as we said, here with other actions, also with the artificial intelligence, energy. We need to also speed up on observations and some of the SFRIs, and also with the mission Starfish, of course. So
Okay.
This was it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Catherine. A big applause for Catherine. And feel free to take, you've deserved the chair by now. I mean, it's an extraordinary insight, I would say, into this, I mean, may I say big beast? Because wow, what is a complex and ambitious partnership. I love it when you say the ocean has no pillars. But of course, you need to somehow structure the partnership work, right? And if I understand well, there are indeed 5, let's say, key urgent intervention areas, right, that you highlight from the 39 to start with, right? The digital twins, the offshore platforms, seafood production, health risk, and governance, including maritime spatial planning. One question perhaps to the panel. Yes?
On the 39, the 5 encompasses a lot of the objectives in the other 39, just to make that very crystal clear.
Exactly. That's the beauty of what you displayed. Those 5 are also so strategic that they link again to so many other
and
objectives.
Because we were asked by the Commission to make very clear impact-oriented entry points, which can be measured. Yeah. That's why. So we've coupled activities under them.
Fantastic.
So it's reorganizing the SRIA in principle.
It's big job. Okay. Just checking. Any questions, comments at this stage from the audience? Yes. Yellow, sir. Can you introduce yourself? And also, if you possibly can stand up, and the camera is not able to see you. So if you can lean a little bit sideways, then the online participants can also see you. Hello.
Okay, hi, I'm Barış Salioğlu from Middle East Technical University of Turkey, and I'm the coordinator of Black Sea Connect. And I would like to thank everyone that has put this great effort into the partnership proposal from the beginning on. I have personally witnessed the whole effort, and it has come a long way, and it's really exciting to see where we are. My question is more general. Already Raffaele and Catherine has mentioned that partnership, I mean, it has an approach both at regional level, but also at the pan-European level. Yeah. And when we talk about offshore platforms, digital twin, and the One Health approach, I mean, different regions has different strengths, and they're at different levels on the other hand. So what will be the partnership's approach towards realizing this goal of addressing these challenges at different scales, both at regional and at the pan-European scale?
So that was exactly the question I was about to pose. So perhaps if some of you could say something about what does regional value added mean to you, whilst also addressing the European ambitions. Margrethe, you want to start?
Yeah, just a minor detail. We are opening the Slido remotely so that you can make your questions. Just
fantastic. Yes, very good.
Well, in most activities or partnerships are pan-European, implying that we, in particular with the deepening of the Union, some of the smaller countries, independently of where they are, have difficulties connecting to what's ongoing in Brussels. That's why we have the Brussels know to have this connectivity, and we will have people from France, Italy, Germany, and Norway in the cellule who will ensure that we're connecting to this region. So that's a principal structure which we have in place. When we're speaking about the implementation, we are thinking global, but
Because in our call, we will have a minimum of 3 countries. And each countries need to have very often their own landscape, their own particularities. It's all not the same social components and things like that. See? And for topics like marine spatial planning, like sustainable fisheries, small-scale fisheries, for example, it will be quite different from one country to the another one. It means that even if it's not, up to now, it's not decided, but when we say 2 countries, it could be 3 regions. You see.
Okay. Yes, please.
Maurice, and give another example, the way the Ocean Digital Twin is conceived from the title Catherine and Raffaele addressed, it's really to test it at the sub-local dimension. And this is another good example on how choosing a very geographically focused spot can really add value at the pan-European level if you think this area of intervention as a step in multiple stages. So there will be a time for exchange of results of practice.
Okay, thank you very much. I saw another question in the room. I think the lady, I don't know whether you have a microphone. There was a microphone here, right? For the interpretation is needed. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much for the very good presentation, Catherine, very, very informative. I have a question regarding the calls. So this partnership, I'm from IFREMER, a research performing organization, and we are very interested in the future calls that you will be launching. Do you have thematics already planned? And this is the first question. The second question is also, I understood that there will be a second grant agreement in 2 years and that maybe this will be the right time for more partners to join the partnership. Just wanted confirmation on that information. I had a third question. You were mentioning there was a slide about co-creation of research and knowledge. Is this something that you are going to encourage to the projects that will be submitted to be funded? Is this what you are referring to? And if that is the case, how are you planning to do this? Because I'm involved in the Prep for Blue project, and this is a great challenge. Everybody's talking about that, but the researchers are kind of lost. They don't know how to do it. Prep for Blue is one of our main objectives to help the future contributors to, or the current contributors to the mission to do this kind of approach for creating knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry,
more
3 questions.
It's not possible to retain. So,
okay, I'm done. Thank you.
I'm just checking whether you still have retained the questions, right? There were some practical questions. Margarita, you want to give some?
So the last one, Let me give you an input. Okay, we have co-creation across societal sectors, of course, but there was a clear input in the context of the of our partnership related to the engagement in the process from a discipline level of social science and humanities. I think that a lot will come. I mean, not only, but some change in the game will come from through engagement from the very beginning of this sector, which is a broad one. The process is like a mirror one. We are trying to implement the co-creation process at the level of the SRIA, the way it will be upgraded in the following years. So we are asking then our project to adhere to this approach. We will, thanks to our colleagues at the JPI Oceans, enable a network of stakeholders which are fundamental to do this co-creation. So in practical terms, there are activities, and technically it will depend on how you manage to really embed the voices of the different stakeholders. In terms of thematics, the thematics are the 5 intervention areas. Of course, a more detailed call text will stem from them, but as a general direction for now, and not for the whole period of the partnership, but for the first call, these are the 5 thematic areas. And the third one, yes. This is, you opened the big.
Oh, let's not do that now. Perhaps we can do it later.
I'm joking. Of course, as a research performing organization, you will be keen to apply to the calls. At the same time, the research performing organizations are the key also as partner, because they can mobilize a lot of other typology of contribution rather than in cash. Starting from research infrastructure, just to mention one of the important ones, which is fundamental for the implementation of our activities. So we are in dialogue with the Commission, because it has to be clarified really how to handle this. And of course, we will open, if possible, if convenient, if everything is set from the next call.
Step by step, right?
Yes.
Also good. Thank you, Maurice. And then I think we have one more question, and we move on to the next session.
Co-creation will be quite important. It means that we want to promote what is called impact pathway or theory of change, and we will write some guidelines about that for the applicants. And if it's possible, it will be very important inside this impact pathway to include the industry inside the project.
Okay.
Just quickly also.
Very quickly, 10 seconds.
Adding to it, it's feasible to undertake like brokerage events where we bring together actors who are not traditionally used to work together. And that can be done both physically and virtually.
Interesting. Yeah. Brokerage events or hackathons, right? As we heard this morning.
Yeah.
Very good. Last question, our Lithuanian friend, please. But try to be short so that there's more room for more
the shortest question. Where is Britain on the map? Thank you.
Good question. Where is Britain on the map? Is Britain part of the partnership work? Has it been any prospects in the future?
If I'm not wrong, and I'm not recalling wrongly, I think in the very, very beginning, and maybe Thorsten can also confirm, we had some contact with UK people, but they are no more in the partnership now. And since one of the key strategy of the coordination package is really to work on the enlargement, meaning towards new countries, towards a new typology of funding agency. Of course, among others, this could be a key target. We have also an activity related really to the initiatives that are happening globally, including the G7, and this is a channel also.
Okay, thank you.
We did have contact with both the funding agency and with the DEFRA, Department of Fisheries Rural Affairs, and encouraging them because they're working not only on the research but also on abilities to monitor, amongst other in the OECD, to measure impacts of greening of the blue economy. So they're interested about...
Who knows, before 2030 a lot of things can happen. Thank you very much. I think a good applause for this panel and for Catherine in particular. We propose, please stay seated. Yes, you can stay seated. We need you very much for the next session also. Before we go to coffee break, we wanted to actually crack the nut a bit further. And as we are here in Marseille, of course, make the relationship between the partnership and also the Mediterranean Sea Basin in particular. And also there to see what has been done already and what is here as the BlueMed Sustainable the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, the SRIA, right? So, Matteo, may I ask you to present, because you've been literally going to the bottom of the sea to look at the relation between these two wonderful partnerships. And we heard, of course, there's been a lot of exchange and one has been inspiring the other, but it's good to see indeed how, and actually a big question, not only to you, but for everybody, how can the partnership help with the implementation of the research priorities for the sea basin? So that's, I think, a very important question that unites us all here in Marseille. So floor is yours. You'll do the presentation in two parts. So it's very good to do one before the coffee and then one after, and to enlighten us a little bit on the various pillars. It will be technical. We go deep to the bottom, but we all know that we can find wonderful things at the bottom of the sea. So over to you.
We will, Ian. Thank you very much. And yes, I am Matteo Ranalli from Ecoris, and I will try to keep it as simple as possible, even though we have to touch some of the themes a little bit more in detail to understand where we are going with the partnership, what is in for the Mediterranean and for the other basins. So let's go straight to the, maybe, it's not, okay, thank you very much. Now, quickly, once again, on the structure of the SRIA, of the partnership SRIA, 4 pillars, all interacting with each other, right? We decided to structure this presentation by coupling 2 pillars, the first and the fourth one, but it's an arbitrary way. We could have been doing it any other way. The fourth pillar is particularly linked to the other ones, to the first 3 ones, the sustainability, the climate neutral, and the productivity one, because governance it has a two-way relationship with all of them. First of all, there cannot be good governance if it's not informed from these 3 lines, let's say. And on the other way around, we cannot have a sustainable blue economy if it's not supported by governance itself. But we will see it a little bit more into detail. Now, I just want to recall a couple of examples from the enablers, especially when it comes to human capacity and infrastructure, because I think these 2 are quite related to the Mediterranean, clearly as the others as well. But you know, our region, the region that is hosting us today for this workshop, we see discrepancies across countries. We see discrepancies with the north-south divide. So when it comes to leveraging human capacity and infrastructures, by also align R&I priorities with the effect of achieving a sustainable blue economy, but also by enabling a multiplying effect for investments, then we are really reaching common objectives towards one direction. Also, maybe sustainable finance can be cited in the basin, since being deployed at local level can have particularly good effects in this very basin. But let's go a little bit towards the SRIA. I will really fly over the BlueMed one. Now, what I would like to say here is that we have found through our analysis kind of many inviting and synergic characteristics of the 2. Very quickly, the structure. Even the BlueMed has recognized 3 main pillars. Okay, they are different, kind of different from the partnership ones, but the policy and the cross-cutting enabler one is transversal, as it is on the partnership SRIA. Again, two different processes, commonalities are there anyway. On the right side, and our distinguished colleagues from the candidate partnerships have already mentioned it, even the BlueMed SRIA has identified 13 priorities, and which are relevant at this point in time, will be in the future, but they have been identified as particularly relevant now. We've been able, through the 24 priorities that you have identified for the partnership SRIA, also to relate to what is urgent for the Basin and for the Pan-European initiative instrument. And there are interesting overlaps also there. First two pillars. Okay, just exemplifying what we mean now. The blue economy in harmony with nature one, clearly to have a productive and sustainable blue economy, we need to safeguard our ecosystem services. Then we need to boost the quality status of ecosystem, be in line with biodiversity objectives, so the path to recovery by 2030 in the bigger framework of the Green Deal, and then the UN SDGs, they come alongside with this conversation, with this pillar as a whole. Governance. As I said earlier, knowledge is supporting better governance. A better governance is supporting knowledge. Now, to enable the provision of ecosystem services, this is the point. Okay, we need to start from there. Another very important characteristic is the increased use of ocean space. We know this is a reality. Structured and efficient governance needs to take this into account. We will see a couple of examples later on in a few minutes. And then avoiding fragmentation. Again, this is important in the Mediterranean, increasing coordination. I went through quickly over the alignment of R&I priorities for the good reasons that we know, that we've seen today, and that we will see in the future, and the coordination across sectoral policies. But now let's see a little bit more into detail what the first and the fourth pillar offer to us in terms of correspondence and opportunities that are matching in the region. Okay, don't get scared here. We will not go into each and every objective. This is just an example. The blue boxes on the left side represent single BlueMed objectives, partnership objectives. On the right side, the matching ones on the BlueMed SRIA. As you can see, there are many of them. Again, I don't want to go into detail now, even for the sake of time. But it's important to see, for example, the first one, enabling the good environmental status. To enable good environmental status, which is one of the objectives of the first pillar, as we've seen, we need to characterize ocean health. We need to characterize the relationships between the impacts and human activities as such and ocean health. I will jump straight to the third objective, which is the one on the bottom, on the left bottom side of your screen, which is observation, monitoring, surveying. Clearly, to characterize ocean health and the impacts of our activities, we need information, we need data. The partnership, even when you just mentioned the ocean digital twins, need to access the data to tell us what is happening and what might happen in the future with the most accurate possible precision. Observation and monitoring, these technologies are both a tool, which means they can give us this information, and innovation in observing technology is a tool, but it's also an opportunity. It's an economic opportunity for the countries, for the European countries, and for the countries of this very basin, and the interventionary approach. It's interesting when you were talking about the sub-sea level, which we will see what it means. But what is important here as well, it's also to highlight the fact that if you see the last objective, the one on the bottom, how many BlueMed priorities is it matching with, according to our analysis, and how many of them have been prioritized? If you haven't done so, have a look at the SRIAs, you will understand better what they mean. It's really inspiring to look at them to see where we are going in the future, starting today. Now, the middle blue box, it's, okay, we'll just go through the cluster to which it belongs, which is the reduction of pollution cluster. I cannot read exactly from here. Yeah, and other forms of disturbance. Now, for me, this is interesting because it's also linked to the mission. For those of you who were present this morning, now in the Mediterranean lighthouse is starting from there, from plastic pollution to move towards nutrient and agricultural pollution, and then industrial and chemical and urban one. Now, the mission approach, the partnership approach is a holistic umbrella of covering all the disturbances that we can think of, from hydrological changes to underwater noise to seafloor disturbance, and then to the pollution that also the lighthouse is going to cover. So there is a synergic opportunity also there. Going to the fourth pillar, and I promise you I'm going to cut short because, I'm still there. Surprise. Now, fourth pillar, we decided to represent here only one cluster. The cluster is operationalizing the ecosystem approach to management, where we were seeing the objectives of the fourth pillar. One of the most important tools that the partnership have identified is the operationalization of the ecosystem approach to management. This is one of the ocean management tools that have been most relevant for decades now, even though it has been lacking an aligned approach, an harmonized approach. So the partnership can also give, from this perspective, can be an enabler for the operationalization of this tool, alongside with maritime spatial planning, within the integrated coastal zone management, and these objectives, they express it clearly. Now, central here is mentioning these management tools alongside also with MPAs, for example, but operationalization, so in order to have a better governance, we also need to understand interactions between ecological and socio-economic systems, which sometimes is kind of lacking, or clearly can be, as always, made better. How do we do that? We can also rely, and I don't want again to go too much into detail, but relying on ecosystem valuation tools which exist. They can provide the knowledge can provide better governance can lead us to a sustainable blue economy. Few mentions, and this is the last slide. We kind of looked from the perspective of where are the synergies already existing in both SRIAs. Maritime spatial planning is one of them. We decided to highlight it now to provide you with an example. But there are also things that are more, that are stronger on one of the two. For example, the partnership SRIA can provide an input to the Mediterranean basin when one of these objectives is informing the reform of ocean-related subsidies. The other way around, the Mediterranean is a region where startups, micro, small, medium enterprises, in some countries they represent more than the 90% of the total number of firms. This means this is highly relevant to the Mediterranean. The partnership can support it, but still the partnership allows for flexibility. What is characteristic of a region is addressed there, and it's supported by the partnership. And for now, if you have questions, you can present them. But first important thing is coffee now.
One moment before that. Thanks. We give you an applause, of course, because it's been deep analysis. And I have actually two things before the coffee break I wanted to do. Stay there, Matteo. It's fine. One is a question to Abraham. Abraham, you've been working very much on the BlueMed SRA. You know that inside out, and you heard and Matteo making those links. Can you just give a comment? Do you more or less agree? Because what I take from that presentation is that there is a strong alignment. So it seems overall that indeed the new partnership is very much able to help the priorities in research in the Mediterranean. I mean, what's your comment on that? Would you agree with that?
Yes, thank you, Matteo, for the analysis. Actually, it's a great analysis, and it's kind of a relief when you see it from the BlueMed perspective that there is a high level degree of coincidence about both processes. So first, I wanted to explain basically, as you said, we, the State Research Agency in Spain, we participated together with France and Italy, and then leading the work package that was updating the SRIA, then reducing the SRIA to the identified 13 priorities, and then developing the BlueMed implementation plan. The methodology that we built with our Mediterranean partners, we didn't really know what would be the level of degree of the national consultations across the Mediterranean, what will be the level of coincidence. And from the very beginning, the results were very positive. We saw very clearly that most of our Mediterranean countries have a very similar perspective of what are the most pressing challenges. And also the process to get to those conclusions is something that has also strengthened our national capacity on these consultations, also for the exercise we did during the partnership, the partnership SRIA, because at least what I can explain from our national perspective is that after doing a very large national consultation at BlueMed level, when we had to repeat the exercise at the level of the partnership, we were as a country much more prepared to get that information, to reach to the relevant stakeholders, to be able to analyze the results, etc. So I think the fact of having a very similar process both for BlueMed and for the partnership has already made us as a future consortium for the partnership stronger.
Super important conclusion. So indeed what you say is first work through your alignment and your strategy at the region level, because then you can actually effectively make an impact at the European level. Maurice, would you agree?
BlueMed SRE is perhaps larger in terms of domain than Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, which is focused on blue economy.
Yeah.
And if you want to compare the BlueMed SRE, you have also to take in account that we have some other partnerships. For example, all the biodiversity, with one call about restoration, monitoring, another call about natural-based solution, is on biodiversity side. The pollutants is mainly on water for all. Because pollution, it has been said this morning, is coming from the end.
Yeah.
And we have also the green vessels and all these parts, which is in waterborne. It means that we have an assemblage of 4 partnerships which will all produce calls, and we are trying also to avoid our overlapping and the reasons why also some, for example, biodiversity. It's in BlueMed.
In other
and it is not. It's in SRE, but not in our top priorities, which are the intervention area, because it's done by others.
Mm-hmm.
Just one last comment, and then I think we can go to coffee. I just wanted to mention, because it's very important, we had this morning a question about the potential involvement of non-European countries in the partnership. That question is a tricky one, and but I wanted to specifically mention, also because we are today in Marseille, and we've been working a lot with our French partners in BlueMed. The results of BlueMed have a lot from the participation of non-European countries. This is a project where France and the non-European, so the Southern European non-European countries have made a huge effort to get us input through the whole BlueMed process, and the results and the BlueMed SRIA and the BlueMed implementation plan is also part of them. So if we manage to really take that and vehiculate to the partnership SRIA and take some of the examples, some of the potential activities and ideas that are present in the BlueMed implementation plan to any of the future calls of the partnership, I think there will be also a footprint from those countries there.
So back to this openness, indeed. Thanks very much. There is one question from the chat, and again, colleagues, feel free to pose questions, which, as we discussed at Right, is very interesting to actually ask the panel before we go, and then promise we go take the coffee. The question is how to solve the problem of the sensitivity of the. I put it in simpler words. How to reconcile, the urgency of the problems that we heard all day, with, let's say, the time that it takes to set up a new mechanism like a partnership. So the time dimension, the problems are now, but it will take a bit of time, of course, to actually come with the partnership as a response. Any thoughts from the panelists on these timing questions? The problems are now, but the solution comes, of course, only a bit later, right? Benjamin, you look very worried. Good question, right?
It's a good question, yes, of course.
Feel free to give some thoughts,
The partnership and the Horizon Europe, the Mission 2030 has a timeline, of course, as you said, 2030. And what we can do is we can give an impulse, we can give an impetus in the whole development. But the take-up in the society, that will take, of course, a couple of years. Yeah. And we are well aware that there will be new challenges coming over time, because our climate is changing and the oceans are changing, and we have to adjust it to live with that. And therefore, how I would see that is that we will, over the course of the partnership and beyond that, we will actively try and work towards these new challenges that will appear.
Yeah. And these problems won't go away, right?
No, well, let's hope that we can solve some of them.
Kathleen, and then Margareta?
Can I compliment, and if I recognize the surname, allow me to say hello to Sherif in Tunisia, Samari. He was a key person in the BlueMed initiative, and I'm glad to be connected in a way with him. I totally support what Benjamin was saying. I also remind that the partnership is not starting from scratch. It really builds on what on a lot of framework and a lot of achievement of the past initiative mechanism projects that had impact. And among the many, because Sherif knows it very, very well, the BlueMed pilot initiative, really on plastic pollution, we see every time an evolution of the framework, but by evolution we don't mean that we erase what has been achieved before, also because new challenges will come. So I think that really we are now equipped because of what has been built in the past, we can really be well equipped for the future.
Okay. And thanks to Sherif Samari from Tunisia for this very right question. Last point, Kathleen.
I have to answer that question since I have JPI Oceans here. There is a complementarity, as I see it, between the JPI and the partnership, in that JPI can launch activities very quickly with various forms of tools, which is not that easy to do for the partnership, which is bound by a contract and lacks that sort of a flexibility. So now you're smiling, Torstein. I'm glad to see. No, but it's feasible to do for JPI to raise, for instance, new activities like they did on microplastic or on new pollutants, and do a workshop or whatever, a backcasting, a forecasting, and so on, and then it's picked up by the partnership to be implemented. These are elements which is it is feasible to look at different activities in that manner.
And an invitation to target also no new countries, like Sherif.
Good. Okay. I think, Ed, what do you think? Everybody deserves coffee, right?
Yes, I think so. Before we break, just a minor information that we have been an average of 50 persons following remotely.
Very good.
Which is quite
fantastic.
good.
Yeah.
Well, to top up this 30-something that we have in the room, so it's around 80 to 19 people following.
And it's just a start, right?
Yeah.
Good.
So let's break.
What I propose is indeed that we take a coffee break until 1/4 so that's a little bit less than half an hour if organizers agree, because otherwise it becomes a bit like, but coffee is hot and it's downstairs, so if you can be back here at the 1:45, which is in 22 minutes from now, that would be fantastic. And then we go full throttle and we hear more about the links and also about community. And of course, we can't hear for the conclusions to be drawn by Rafaela. Thank you so far, and we'll see you back in 21 minutes from now.
So from somebody I couldn't see the question for a while.
I saw it, but
then
it disappeared.
Then it came back.
Ah, okay.